The discontinuation of the Dreamcast hit us Sega fans pretty hard. It basically meant our favorite game company was calling quits on hardware and all our favorite franchises were going to go elsewhere. I really didn't know what to expect in the coming years. I could not see myself playing Sonic on anything other than a Sega console. Little did I know that this decision allowed for some forgotten franchises to return to the spotlight once more, and there is no other more deserving than Gunstar Heroes. The original Gunstar Heroes was an action run and gun from the legendary developer Treasure. It is considered one of the best games on the Genesis and has seen multiple releases over the years on several platforms. The charm this game had was its unique gameplay, funny and quirky characters, and awesome and memorable boss battles. 12 years later, this game would see a sequel called Gunstar Superheroes. Now, you know the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Well, that's what Treasure did here. Gunstar Superheroes pretty much retains the original run-and-gun gameplay of the original, with some changes here and there. The main change I would say would be the weapon system. Unlike the original where you could obtain upgrades and mix and match, here all the weapons are available right off the bat, which would be fine. However, what is here does not match the variety that was available on the Genesis version. They kind of make up for it with more close attacks, such as uppercuts and the ability to shoot while in a fixed position, or strafe while holding the R button. Gameplay between Gunstar Red and Blue are pretty much the same, with the only difference being their primary weapons. Along with retaining the gameplay and style of the original, the sequel includes segments that are an homage to past Sega titles such as Galaxy Force, Afterburner, and Thunderblade. These portions keep the game feeling fresh without overstaying its welcome. The one thing I could say that would be a problem would be the screen size. When the action ramps up, it becomes a little difficult trying to keep up with everything. And talking about difficulty, this game is no walk in the park. Gunstar Superheroes is a tough game. It's all about memorizing enemy placement, boss patterns, and knowing when to dodge and fight. It will take some time and skill to beat this game, but there is a sense of satisfaction when you're finally able to beat a particular boss that you couldn't beat before. The visuals are probably the best I've seen on the Game Boy Advance. There's a surprising amount of detail on both the background and sprites, especially since this is all being done on a small screen. The colors are extremely vibrant, probably to make up for the issue of the first Game Boy Advance models. But yeah, they're pretty vibrant and they really make the characters pop. The amount of sprites on screen, as well as the rotation, makes this feel like a combination of techniques from both the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Animation seems a little stiff, but that could be forgiven considering the amount of activity that's going on screen. Now, I don't know how you may feel about this, but most of the music was actually taken from the Genesis original and remade for the Game Boy Advance. And I have to say that these renditions are as memorable as they were back in the 90s. These tunes are amped up as they were back in the day and complement the action that takes place on screen. I would dare say that these versions actually sound better than the Genesis originals, but don't quote me on that. Sound effects are crisp and the voice samples are pretty clear, adding personality to both Gunstars and enemies alike. Controls are a tad more complex than the original, but that's due to the new moves and abilities. The main issue I found when I started playing again was trying to fire, and instead I would end up doing a close attack. I was unaware that you had to hold down the B button to fire, but that's pretty minor. Overall movements and response times are spot on, and anyone who's familiar with action platformers will get a hang of it pretty quickly. Yet if you're still having problems with the controls, there are a couple of options available to make playing easier. Presentation has seen a major upgrade. Level Select now has rotating objects and chapter images, and the menu splits up into two characters. Storyline elements are now told through still cutscenes and dialogue boxes between characters. Not to mention that the title screen is a direct copy of the Genesis original, but with a reflective logo. For those who have played the original, the title screen is basically saying that this is more of the same and then some. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with that. And there you have it, guys. Gunstar Superheroes for the Game Boy Advance. I gotta give this game an A. The gameplay's tight, controls are precise, music is awesome. You know, the list just goes on and on. I totally love this game. Although I do have one slight caveat, and that would be the fact that it recycles a little too much from the Genesis game. You know, things like levels, boss fights, even the music. Although the renditions on here are awesome, I think it just took a little too much, making this close to a remake than a sequel. But all in all, it's still a great game. You could pretty much find this game for around $40 loose and $80 complete. So yeah, that's what you could expect to pay if you ever find this out in the wild. So yeah, it's a great game. Anyway, thank you guys for watching my video. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And like always, have a good one. Take care, you guys.